What's up, guys? I actually tried filming this video a few days ago, and while I was deleting stuff to, clear some storage, I accidentally deleted the video. So this will be my second video of reviewing season 2 of Breaking Bad. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it as good as I did in the other video. So I was just, venting about some frustration on camera. That I'm really, really pissed off that I deleted that video. But oh well, it is what it is. I guess I'll just do it again. So the way we start off is with some stuff with Tuco, and Tuco ends up kidnapping them, and in a really, really entertaining episode. This is one of the best season 2, episode 2, I believe, is probably one of the best episodes of the whole season. Um, and you get Hector Salamanca who rings the bell, ding, and it's just it's a good episode. Tuco's death is a bit abrupt though. Uh, oh, come on, I forgot to mention that there's going to be spoilers in this. Oh well, I'll just put it in the title. Spoilers, yeah, spoilers for season 2 Breaking Bad. So yeah, anyway, Tuca's death is a bit anticlimactic, I would say. I wish he would have died in a more exciting way. He just got shot in the throat. There was a little shootout with Hank. Oh, Hank is somebody I have to mention. My favorite character when I first watched this show was Jesse Pinkman. Um, but it has more evolved into Hank because as you progress through this season, you realize Jesse is a loser. I mean, he doesn't really do anything. He gets a girlfriend that happens to be a goth and a recovering drug addict herself, and he gets her hooked onto drugs. He's really just a loser that doesn't do anything, and that's just the reality of it. We meet Saul Goodman in this season. Saul Goodman is probably the only character that, I mean, obviously there's funny parts in this show, but Saul Goodman is the one character that, as Vince Gilligan said it, he's a clown. He's meant to be a clown. And I like Saul Goodman's character a lot. I think Saul Goodman is one of the best characters in the show. We meet a few new characters. We meet Gustavo Fring, who is, from what it seems, he's a very, if you just watch season 2, he's a very, very, cautious, seems like proper man, but if you watch more than season 2, if you watch the whole show, you realize he's more than that, and he's really a genius, but we'll get into that later. We meet Mike Ehrmantraut, who is also another great character, but we meet Jane, Jesse's junkie girlfriend, as Walter called her, and she really, it seems that at the end of the season, Jesse's being pulled between these two characters because he's very easily controlled, and it's either get controlled by Jane or get controlled by Walter. Um, and both of them are kind of pulling at him, and he's deciding where he wants to go, and ultimately, or which person he kind of likes better or whatever. I don't know. I'm wording it wrong, but I think it's a fact of, does he want to stay with Walter and keep drug dealing, or does he just want his money and to go off with Jane? And he ends up getting his money, and he's going to go off with Jane. That changes, though. I'll talk about that in a minute. Um, Walter White, we see, is in a state of really a different person than he was in season 1, where he's becoming into this really terrible person. And at the beginning, where even though he was doing something terrible and illegal, um, there was a reason for it. You could sympathize with why he was doing that. But by the end of the season, you really can't say. I mean, you can, but you can't sympathize with them that much at all. Uh, and we as we see, um, you know, everybody at the end of the season is going to end off in a different way. We obviously see that Jesse's crew that he makes of Badger, Skinny Pete, and Combo all falls apart. Skinny Pete leaves, excuse me. Um, Combo dies, he got shot, and Badger leaves because he gets busted, essentially. So, you know, it really is, it's different. And this season, in my opinion, is a lot better than season one. Um, for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons I think is because of the whole dynamic with Walter and Jesse, as you see them bitching at each other more, and you see them, they're really they care about each other, and you can see that they really really do deep down care about each other, but they bicker and they argue. Peekaboo. That's the episode I really want to talk about because that's one of the best episodes of this whole season, if not the best. Where Jesse goes into this house of some addicts that ripped him off, and he basically interrogates them. But one of the things I like is that there's this kid there, and Jesse seems to have, as most people do, sympathy for children, even though he's a criminal and he's doing really terrible things to people, because selling drugs to people is contributing to a lot of deaths of people, a lot of overdoses. But he sympathizes with this kid, and this kid is in this really, really terrible situation. Sorry, with these addict parents. And at the end of it, it all falls to crap. The wife crushes the husband's head with an ATM machine. And he calls the cops and then brings the kid out. But he gets his money back. And obviously he's really mad at Walter because he saw a dude get crushed with an ATM machine. And Walter told him, hey, you handle it. And Walter White, you see, is really the uptight one out of the two of them. But like I said, Jesse's a loser. He's useless. He doesn't do anything. Um, and we get introduced or we don't get introduced, but, Hank goes over to El Paso and he meets this guy named Tortuga. Fun fact, I believe my dad has a signed shirt from that actor, so that's pretty cool. And I could be wrong. If you're watching this, Dad, you can feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments if I'm wrong. Um, but, anyway, he gets his head people get their legs blown off because there's, seems like a landmine there. Tortuga gets his head stuck on a turtle. A lot of stuff happens in this season. And, by the end of the season, no one's really in a good place because what ends up happening is Walter comes in and Jane overdoses on heroin. And instead of, saving her like he should, he says, you know what, I'm gonna let her die. And so she dies. And at this point, it's where Walter goes to a point where he's no longer redeemable. Or fully redeemable, at least. He's no longer fully redeemable. Because when you willingly watch someone die, that's pretty messed up. And he's done other terrible things, but that just crosses the line. Um, and another thing I gotta talk about is when he's told he's in remission, he's not happy about it. He wants to keep selling meth. Um, which is strange, because, yeah, it's just strange. And Walter White truly has transformed into Heisenberg. And in my opinion, when he watches Jane choke to death on her own throat, that's when he turns into Heisenberg. That is when he's fully transformed into Heisenberg. Skyler ends up leaving him at the end of the season. Jesse's in rehab. Nobody's really in a good, or at least Jesse and Walter aren't in a good place at the end of the season. And you see that. You see that neither of them are in a good place. And Jane's dad, because he goes to back to work too early, and it's, air traffic control or whatever. Two planes collide. So at the end of the day, I see that as Walter White's fault, because if he wouldn't have let her choke to death on her own throat. Sorry, let me just adjust this pillow. I'm sitting back on a pillow, so sometimes I gotta adjust it because it's not too comfortable. But yeah, he wants Jane to choke to death on her own throat, and if he didn't do that, none of this would have happened. So at the end of the season, nobody's really in a good place. And it ends on that, not cliffhanger, but it ends where there's going to be more. There's going to be more with everybody, and I can't wait to review season 3. I've already started watching it, and it's already pretty good. So, overall, what did I give season 1? A 9 out of 10? I gave season 2 a 9.5 out of 10. It's a little better than season 1. Still not perfect, but it's better than season 1. So, yeah. I love this show. I'm rewatching it. I still love it. It's my favorite show. I love it. Anyway, bye guys. Thumbs up. Subscribe.